So good morning again, dear colleagues. I suggest to start today our workshop. Though we have yet only around 60 participants, though initially 230 registered participants we had. So it's, I see that people are still joining. I don't know whether to wait another minute or not. But because it's already 5 minutes, we are late, so I suggest to start anyway. So today our workshop, online workshop, from policy to practice, regional and local impacts of EU missions and Horizon Europe clusters, is the third in a series of 4 workshops to be organized by NCP4Missions projects. Building on the previous 2 workshops, today's workshop will focus on highlighting the regional local impact of both the EU missions and also Horizon Europe cluster projects. So I would like my name is Tigran Arzumanyan. I am representing Scientific and Innovation Partnership Assistance Center in Armenia. And we are today responsible for organization of this workshop in the frame of our NCP4Missions project. But luckily we were not alone, so I would like first to thank all our partners who assisted us during all the preparation process of this workshop. Thank you very much for finding partners appropriate, for helping us in organizational issues. And I would like also to thank our esteemed speakers. Thank you very much for your agreement to bring your valuable input to our today's workshop. And I would like also to thank all our participants. And we anticipate very lively and proactive also your participation during all the process with your questions and also discussions, fruitful discussions. I think that we have a really wonderful cohort of very interesting projects to be presented today, and also anticipate very fruitful discussions. But also some household maybe also information. So today's our workshop will be recorded. For those who don't want to be recorded, please switch off your cameras and also use chat for your questions. And also I would like to ask also participants also be muted during all the mute your mics during presentations, and try also to switch off your cameras to not overload the communication, to have a smooth communication during all the process. And also I would like to introduce my colleague Ioannis Andronidis from Greece Praxi Network, who will also co-moderate the question and answer session today. Hello, Ioannis. Would you like to say a few words? Or?
Well, I mean, mainly I don't want to take much of your time. Just good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us, and please use the chat to share your questions, and I'll make sure to keep track of them, and we'll address them at the end at our Q&A. So yeah, we could start. Thank you, Tigran.
Thank you, Ioannis. Thank you. So let's go to our core program today, agenda today, and it's give me a great pleasure to introduce Antje Knipper from Zurich Center, Germany, the coordinator of our NCP4Missions project. The floor is yours, Antje, please.
Thank you very much, Tigran and Johannes. Warm welcome also from my side to all participants and speakers of this event. My name is Antje Knepper, and I'm part of the coordinating team of the NCP4Missions project, the network of EU missions and national contact points. I will now briefly introduce the project and its goals to you. NCP4Missions is the first transnational network of national contact points for European missions. It is funded by the European Commission under the Horizon Europe Framework Programme for Research and Innovation. NCP4Missions is a coordination and support action and was launched on September 2023. The project duration is 54 months, so 4.5 years, running until February 2028. And for further information, you can click on the CORDIS link on this slide here. The consortium brings together mission NCPs from 19 countries that are listed here on the slide. Of these 19 countries, 4 are associated countries and 15 EU member states, and a total of 13 widening countries are involved. The overarching project goals focus on improving and professionalizing the skills of NCPs concerned with the 5 missions. This comprises networking between mission NCPs, sharing good practices, raising the standard of the NCP services across Europe, and also improving the support for potential applicants of the missions work programs. Furthermore, the project aims at lowering the entry barriers for applicants to participate in the missions work program. This entails supporting networking and consortia formation, for example, as well as increasing the quality of the submitted proposals. Last but not least, NCP4Missions fosters synergies with relevant mission and Horizon Europe structures, like other networks or certain clusters, mission boards and hubs, as well as the European Commission. We will now have a look at the added value the project brings to NCPs and especially to applicants. Here is an overview of our event portfolio. On the right-hand side, marked in black, you can see the events for national contact points. We have EC updates, which give room for information flow between NCPs and the European Commission on certain topics. Meet and share sessions, which facilitate an informal exchange and discussion between NCPs on NCP practices and experiences. And we have deep dives for knowledge building on specific topics like citizen or stakeholder engagement. And on the left side, marked in red, you can see the events for applicants, brokerage events, an exchange workshop, and synergies workshops. And we will have a look at these in depth on the next slide. Coming up is our brokerage event, which will take place on the 28th and 29th of January. There will be a plenary session and a lot of time for bilateral meetings. It is organized by the B2Match system, which enables online face-to-face meetings. We organize a brokerage event once a year, and it is usually planned back-to-back with the EC Info Days on the missions. Next year, the EC Info Days are a little earlier, taking place on the 20th and 21st of January. Brokerage events are generally a great opportunity for you to meet potential partners from Europe and beyond and start building your consortium. Then also we offer workshops for applicants, like the Synergies workshop, for example, you're visiting today. Then we have 2 previous Synergies workshops on citizen engagement and the applicant approach towards missions. You can find the presentations and recordings under the link in the box on the bottom right. And also an exchange workshop aimed at knowledge transfer on good practices will be organized probably sometime next year. Here we have an overview of the project's toolkit. We provide various tools to applicants, for example, online e-learning nuggets, a collection of FAQs, an experience analysis, and a mapping of mission hubs. I will introduce these further on the next slides, just very briefly. The project provides a collection of fact sheets, one for each EU mission. The fact sheets give an overview of the concerned mission and its objectives, as well as funding opportunities, for example, and further issues. A special focus lies on the role of social engagement in the 5 EU missions, highlighting their importance in the EU missions. Then we have a series of very nice e-learning nuggets that were originally planned for NCPs, but were then open also for applicants. They are digital training courses that you can enroll to. You can take the course at any time you like after you've registered to the NCP virtual campus. We are also very happy to receive feedback after the trainings. The links on the slide will lead you directly to the campus. There will probably also be a 4th e-learning nugget coming up. Info on this will be provided via our website and social media channels. Furthermore, we have a FAQs collection you can download from our website. It contains relevant information in regards to the mission calls. It is a living document that is based on various sources like NCP questions to the Commission or EC documents, etc. Also, NCP4Missions provides an experience analysis document. The current version is linked here on the slide. The document comprises challenges specific to the mission, like, for example, stakeholder engagement, integration of social sciences and humanities, and it can serve as a guide in the application process. Last but not least, NCP4Mission provides a mapping of the mission hubs to applicants. The table is structured per mission and contains information on the status and progress of mission hubs per country. NCP4Missions is also active on various social media channels like LinkedIn and Facebook that keep you updated on our activities and events. Furthermore, you can find all relevant information on our project website, of course. Yes, thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to contact the project if you have any questions. And now please enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you very much, Antje, for overview of the project. And now it gives me pleasure to invite a representative of the European Commission, Mr. Sven Skede, if I'm right with the pronunciation of the family name. Please, Mr. Skede. And the presentation will be on new missions, policy objectives, and local regional pathways. Please. I see that Sven is with us. Mr. Shedes, do you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah,
please, could you please share your screen? Now.
Can you? Oh, strange enough, my camera doesn't work. Can you hear me?
We hear you perfectly. We don't see you.
Yeah, strange enough, my camera always turns off. It has a problem. Okay, come on. We just do audio.
Would you like to share your screen also? Because we don't have your presentation.
I don't have a presentation. I just wanted to talk to you.
Okay,
let's see if it...
Please, the floor is yours.
No, sorry, my camera has a hiccup here. Seemingly an update yesterday. So good morning to all of you. I am Sven Schade from the Common Policy Center in the DG RTD, the Common Policy Center for the Horizon Europe program. my job description is a better research for the green transition, and in that context, I am part of the missions team, but I'm not really in the unit which is taking care of the missions. But I was asked basically to make a welcome to you this morning for your to step in, because colleagues from the missions team were not yet available. Were not available before Christmas. I'm currently a little bit hectic here because I'm just giving a lecture at the Sciences Po in Sciences Politique in Lille, and I just have to step out to basically get to you and get this working. I was asked to give my insights into the local, regional and local impacts of EU missions. That's absolutely not easy, because there's a lot to report on that, and it's one of the major discussions of, for example, the OECD. The OECD is comparing mission-based approaches to research and innovation in many member countries, its member countries, and sees the very different approaches. And the EU, and they also analyzed the EU missions in this context. And for us, the question of what do we achieve at local and regional level is even more imminent, because we are EU missions. So let's think about the local impact in 3 dimensions. The first and the least important is what we achieve really as physical impact on the ground. The missions are extremely ambitious in their objectives. They want to change basically about the use of oils, about the cancer care and cancer prevention. That would take billions and billions and long investment strategies to realize. The Horizon Europe support is nothing but a drop in the ocean for that. So it might be nice for a location to benefit from that support and to create a better care system in hospitals, to have something on site. But overall, this physical impact that is achieved on the ground in the participating regions is not the one which really is the most important. You are setting, from this local thing, you are setting examples. You were awarded a European grant because you were shown to be the most ambitious proposal in that respect. But it's nice for your, as said, it's nice for your region, but at the end, it would never be sufficient. We would never ever have the means to achieve an overarching impact across all countries that participate in Horizon Europe. It is absolutely necessary that a mobilization of national, regional, philanthropic funds happens in the region that benefits, but also in the other regions that say, hey, look, there is this project, and we would be very interested in replicating. We would be very interested in replicating this experience, bringing the people from Greece, from wherever these projects happened, into our region. And from the second, that guides to the second more important aspect, that is the community that builds in the missions. I have an experience of working on the ground in Germany, but also in Lithuania, and these are 2 very different countries. One, in Germany, you always find an expert for each and everything, almost. Digitalization, maybe not. No, you will always find someone in the country. In Lithuania, with around 3 million inhabitants, it will be the communities are very, very small, and a specialized knowledge is probably not available. Within the missions, within the mission community, you will always have the somebody who is working under a similar condition than in your country, than in your location, whom you could basically draw on their, from whom you can draw experience, from whom you can get influenced and inspired, who can assist. And that is not only a question for the research sector, but that is more notably a question for the range of stakeholders that the missions have to address. The missions are based in Horizon Europe, but they are the first ones to consider that the number of actors to achieve innovation and societal transformation is much bigger than just research and industry. We have the public administrations that have to do a better procurement. We have the people who are doing the public enterprises who are providing services to the citizen related to health, related to urban planning, related to urban transport. They are not typical enterprises that want to grow. Where should they grow to? If you are the public transport network of Yerevan, the other countries, the other cities may not be too happy if you suddenly infringe on their region. What the public enterprises are interested in is a better service provision to their citizen. That engages then the citizen in the innovation process. Not only the public administration, but the citizen directly. What do they expect from a modern public service? So the community building around the missions in both dimensions, the recognition that there are many more actors locally, and that your mission engagement locally is the opportunity to acknowledge that and to bring other people in, and where those other stakeholders are interested in learning, but don't have the capacity, don't have the knowledge yet, you can draw on the community around the mission, on the international community. And so strengthening the local innovation capacity of stakeholders is a far more important impact from the missions than the actual implementation of the funded part of the funded EU project in your region. The third dimension is one that goes beyond the local, the pure local impact, but is the local dimension that is brought up to the European level. The missions, the EU missions were innovating the thinking about the European level, the role of the European level in research and innovation support. You might remember the university's call in 2024, which was a horizontal call across all missions with a little bit of funding, where we said universities as hubs for local action for the European mission, where we said we have universities which are recognized knowledge holders in the region. They are recognized by everybody, and they are used to working internationally. A public administration is not used to work internationally. The public works are also not used to work internationally. The university is, and the university would be the hub where knowledge from the European level flows into the region, and knowledge from the region flows into Europe. But we had always the thinking that the European Union should only fund projects which are transnational from the very beginning. And here in this university hubs call, we for the first time had, after 3 times 1 hour discussion in the program committee, a recognition that a European added value can be created by a purely local project that is made to collaborate on the mission platform. That sounds trivial, but it is a significant step forward, because with this thinking, we suddenly can award seals of excellence to say, hey, we have checked all the projects that came in. They have a local concentration in one region. They have one or two other partners from another country, but it's not equal. They are benefiting a Greek region. They are benefiting the city of Dublin. Unfortunately, they were not good enough to be funded because there were better projects. But dear Irish government, dear Greek government, here is a well thought through project. Would you not be interested in funding this from local sources? And that type of revision of the relation, or rethinking the relation of European level support and local level support, is perhaps one of the most important impacts that we can achieve for the system of innovation support we can think of. I want to close with a short word on the future, connecting these three thoughts between local on the ground impact, real life impact, the community, the networking impact, and the structural impact on innovation support. The proposal for FP10 2028 to 2034 includes a commitment to the missions to the budgetary year 2030. We want to continue the support to the missions up to this budgetary year. 2030 means that the projects that are funded from 2030 budget would start in 2031 and would end then in around 2034. So this would be with the end of Horizon, the FP10 period. Why did we choose this? We have to say it open, if by 2030 the EU member states and associated countries did not engage more in the missions, and really make available additional funding from committed to it, the mission concept has at the end not achieved what it was thought for. It was clear that we cannot clean the oceans in 10 years, or in 15 years. And we cannot clean it from EU research money. We need this multiplication. And if the mission, so we commit to the missions, we want to commit to the missions up to 2030, because this was also the time when we set the mission objectives. If by that time member states, national programs, regional programs really engage and say, yes, we are joining the club, we are really investing, then there is no reason to stop it. But if this doesn't happen, we would say, okay, we have tried it, it was a good idea, but maybe the European Union simply is lacking the grip on the regions, the grip on the ground to implement such a mission-based policy, research and innovation policy for societal impact. If you want to read more about the thinking also around missions, I highly recommend you the OECD analysis, and I wish you a very good day of discussion today and reflect about this project, about what I said in the presentation of your projects. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you very much, Sven, for this very interesting and also important insight into the policy aspects, and also importance of the consolidation, and also regional and local resources to achieve the missions goals also adequately. And also I would like to say to our participants that you can already start, if you have some questions, write your questions also in the chat to save time for the question and answer session. So you can start also to writing your questions. Thank you, Sven, for your important input. And now let's go to our next speaker. And it gives me a pleasure to invite.
Thanks a lot for the invite. Bye-bye. I jump back to my students. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us with your hectic schedule and for important input. Thank you very much. So let's go to our next speaker, Silvia Chirezzi, ERIN Network, and she will speak about the European Regions Research and Innovation Network activities to enhance regional development. So Silvia, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, Thanks a lot. Can you see my screen and can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, and thanks for inviting Erin to present our activities on the EU missions and how we are supporting also our members that I will show you in a moment. So I'm Silvia Ghiretti, I'm Policy and Project Manager, and I'm coordinating Erin's work around the 5 EU missions. So Erin is the European Regions Research and Innovation Network. We are network based in Brussels, and we represent more than 120.
Ja, nej, det var bara en
hear
workshop jag följde. Men ja, okej.
Okay, thanks. So we are a network based in Brussels, and we represent more than 120 regional and local stakeholders from more than 20 countries. So we work really in an ecosystem approach, because our members are not only regions and cities, so regional and local authorities, but also regional universities or regional innovation agencies, clusters, and so on. So our main interlocutors are the Brussels offices, but we also interact with people really and organizations in the regions. So here I just put a slide on our mission. So it's really to bring this local perspective to the EU research and innovation policy and funding programs, and so to position the regional interests in the research and innovation landscape, but also to facilitate connections between our members and the EU institutions or other EU partners and EU organizations, and also increase project opportunities. So the EU missions under Horizon Europe are one of our network's priority, because they encompass this ecosystem approach, which is in our DNA, I would say. So here I put the slides based on our members' input on what are the missions are bringing to the local and regional stakeholders. Well, they all said that they are, thanks to the missions, many of the societal challenges are now up in the local and regional political agendas. So I'm thinking about adaptation, for example, or mitigation, but also cancer. So these are topics and issues that they were already there, but thanks to this EU initiative, they went a bit higher in the political agenda. They also promote cross-sectoral collaboration. So thanks to the mission, many regions and cities and other stakeholders also collaborate more beyond the public sector. So with also citizens, academia, clusters, industry, and so on. So they strengthen this cross-sectoral collaboration. And also the missions provided also long-term and strategic approach across multiple areas. So we heard also many of our regions, for example, they started to collaborate with other departments in the region. And so they stopped to work in silos, and they move forward, I would say, in tackling the societal challenges collectively. Many of our members also said that they benefited a lot from this mutual learning at EU level that was also mentioned by other colleagues at the beginning of the meeting. So this really learn from each other, creates participate in this community of practices that have emerged in the different EU missions platforms, and also, which is very relevant to today's meeting, they also participated in many of mission calls, but also cluster calls, and use this demonstration and R&I projects to support their activities locally towards reaching the mission goals. So here I sum up a bit our engagement, our R&I engagement in the mission. So we really started working on the mission since the very beginning. So we started with in 2018, 2019 by providing active input to the mission design, and we had regular dialogue with the different mission secretariat in the European Commission. And here you will receive the slides, so you can of course see our mission work throughout these years. And we also have created an internal governance that I will show you now in a moment, because we have 5 thematic working groups, so where members actively participate, that are also following one of the missions. And it's really a topic that is missions are really like a topic that are followed by our staff, so our colleagues and the management board, so directly also by our members. And we as ERIN, we participate in some Horizon Europe missions related projects when there's an interest for our members. And I will show you in a moment also a slide about that. And we also support our members in creating consortia, in funding other partners or coordinators for the calls. So for the mission related calls, but also for other Horizon Europe calls, it might be also relevant for their EU mission work. So as I just said, so we are structured in 14 working groups. And as you can see here on the screen, we have, for example, under the natural resources and adaptation cluster, 3 working groups that are all following the 3 missions. And same for our working group on health, which follow cancer mission, and our low carbon cluster, particularly the Smart Cities Working Group, which follows the cities mission, and also other topics as well. But of course, the missions are really embedded into this work. And here put on the screen some our EU projects, so where ERIN is a partner. And as you can see, especially in the natural resources and adaptation cluster, we're very active in some mission ocean projects, mission adaptation, soil, cities mission. For now, we don't have any cancer mission, but we're still working on that. So here the idea is always to ERIN is present in some for example hubs. So the Mission City platform implementing so the Net Zero Cities implementing the Mission City platforms, because there's an interest for us to be there. And what we are doing is always on the benefit of our members. Here highlighted a bit some meetings that we've been involved in. So from the mission conferences of the mission adaptation, mission soil, mission ocean, cities, and so on. And we have also written a joint letter. So this is more our policy advocacy work to the European Executive Vice President Teresa Ribera of the European Commission, together with other city networks like Eurocities, ICLEI, and so on, to really call for European political buy-in, so a greater support to the EU missions also moving forward. Because we want to make sure that missions are still there in the future, as they are really a useful approach, the mission-oriented approach for local and regional stakeholders to tackle important social challenges. Maybe just to finish with a couple of slides, just to show you that every year we ask our members what are their priorities that they would like to focus on the following year. So this year we did it in October, and thanks to this survey, we will prepare the activities in 2026. And one of our questions was around the EU missions, and we found out that it's even more than 80%, because the figure here is not correct, but more than 80% of our members or their stakeholders on the ground, they are involved in one of the 5 EU missions through the mission funded projects. But also other activities, like, for example, the technical assistance from the mission adaptation platform, and so on. So they really found the mission as a very useful tool that they help them locally to implement their policy and structural changes, which of course takes time, but it's really a tool helping them in achieving their goals locally. Of course, as you can imagine, there's a high interest on the adaptation and cities mission, but also many of them mention their interest in concrete activities around ocean and waters and soil. A bit low interest in cancer, but just because I think it's now running, and we can see there are more and more calls also for regional and local stakeholders rather than purely research. So this I think will come in the future. And they have, of course, a broad interest into 2026-2027 mission goals, and we also promoted to them the brokerage event that NCP4Missions is organizing. So we really hope that it will be something interesting for them. And this is a bit what our members are looking for in the future. So something interesting that they all mention is, of course, the funding synergies. This is something also that the representative from the European Commission also mentioned, that Horizon Europe is not enough. So they would like to see more engagement at national, regional level, but also at EU level from other programs, for example. So that's why many of them, they also mentioned that within the next budget, so the multi-annual financial framework 2028-2034, they would like to see the missions also embedded not only in the Horizon Europe, Future Horizon Europe FP10 program, but also in the future European Competitiveness Fund or National Regional Partnership Plans, which is the future of the cohesion policy. So to really make sure that missions are more broadly supported and they will have a broader impact also at local and regional level. And something that they very much mentioned, that it's very much linked to today's meeting, it's the cross-mission synergies, but also synergies with other EU initiatives or other parts of Horizon Europe, for example, like clusters or European partnerships. So it's something that they would like to see more strengthened in the future. And of course, other things around capacity building. So they would like to see more skills developed locally to support the implementation of the missions, as there are some capacity and skills gaps at local level. So they would like to see more capacity building activities and also scalability. That was also one of the things mentioned in previous interventions. So how they can learn from each other and replicate some solutions. And I think this is very relevant also for what they will present now, other colleagues around the cluster projects and works. Yes, so here I put just a slide to also open a bit the discussion and connected also to the cluster projects that will be presented in a moment. But we really believe at ERIN and also through our members that mission cannot succeed in isolation, and that more synergies should be created in the future. And we, for example, at ERIN, we also work on other EU initiatives and other Horizon Europe projects, and we really see, even if there's no a direct link or a direct mention to the mission, there are some initiatives that are really benefiting the local and regional actors also to implement the mission objectives. So so we're really glad to be here today and also to listen in to other projects. So here I left my contact details, so you can of course contact me if you need further information about our work and future opportunities. And here is also my directors of ERIN, Pirita Lindholm, as she's also closely following our work on the missions. Maybe just a final word to say that we will continue our work around the EU missions and positioning really regional and local needs in the missions moving forward, both at policy level, so the future budget of the European Union, but also at project level. So we are now thinking also on how, like, we are already organizing ourselves in supporting our members in the future calls 2026. So this is really, we have a project development tool online that I can add a link here, where our members express an interest in the calls of the missions, but also other Horizon Europe calls. And if you're coordinating a proposal, you can also enter your interest, and we will facilitate this matchmaking. So if you're looking for partners, don't hesitate to contact us, and we will do our best to put you in contact with relevant members and interested members in the calls. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Silvia, very much for your comprehensive presentation about the network and also synergetic activities with EU missions objectives, and also importance of the consolidation of resources on a local level. So I think that there will be questions also to you on the question and answer sessions. Thank you to all our speakers from a plenary session, and now we are going to presentations from EU missions and also cluster projects to explore with regional and local impacts they have, which is also very important on a local and regional level, these projects. And it gives me pleasure to invite the first speaker from Mission Cities, Julia Melis, who will present Just Streets projects. So Julia, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so can you hear me and also see my screen?
Yes, we hear you, but could you please also just full screen, make a full screen of your presentation? We see it.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Is it okay now?
No,
Okay.
it's okay, yes.
So thank you, Tigran, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today to present our Just Streets project as an example of one of the Mission Cities funded project. So Just Streets is focusing on mobility justice for all. And this is the call we applied to, so designing inclusive, safe, affordable, and sustainable urban mobility. It was a Mission Cities call from 2022, and it is an innovation action. So with this aim of experimenting solutions in the cities, understand what works, and be able to replicate it to other cities in Europe. And the call closed on September 2022, and our project started in January 2024. So more than 1 year later, because it was evaluated as excellent, but we were on the reserve list. And then we were funded 6 months after our sister project. So this is just to give you a message of hope that this is possible. And these are our 4 projects in the cluster. I wanted to mention this because we are having a very good collaboration, also thanks to the Civitas initiative that under the urban public space design cluster really brings us together and builds connection among other projects. So let's dig into our topics. So I would like to start with the definition of public space, because this is what we are dealing with. So public space are spaces that are open and accessible to all, according to the definition, where with a fundamental role of meeting, interaction, and participation for urban and social lives. They can be outdoor or indoor places, and the important thing is that they are governed by rules that ensure accessibility, safety, and their social functions. But what happens when we look around? We see that cars are parked for 95% of the time, and they occupy 70% of public space in our cities. Then how do we use it? A recent study from MIT found that people walk faster than in the past, and we don't stop in the public space. We just cross it, mainly being alone. Then if we look at how people feel in the public space, here you have data about Italy, but it's the same situation almost everywhere. So 36% of women does not feel okay in going out at night because they are afraid, against 5.5% of men. And streets are unsafe. If we look at the cause of death among young people, 35% of total deaths are related to road accidents. So there are still some problems. That's why in Just Streets we identified those challenges, like the scarce inclusivity, the unfair space allocation, safety issues in our streets, and the low livability. And we really want to support cities and their communities in converting to just, equal, and active streets for all. These are the impacts we expect to achieve in the end of our project. So to help cities to shift from car-centric to human-based mobility patterns. That's really the core of our project, which will impact on different other pillars like the sustainability, the just allocation of this scarce resource, which is public space, to foster active urban mobility, also to have less noise and air pollution, and to be able to include diverse social groups and increase the levels of perceived safety. Let's start with our team, which is I think the real strength of this project. So it's a quite big consortium. We have 32 partners, and here I group them in research and innovation partners. So delivering knowledge towards our cities. Then we have a group of technical partners which are supporting the cities in applying this knowledge and developing their intervention. Then we have 12 cities, which I will present you in the next slide, and some networking partners, which are non-profit organizations, and they really help us spread the message around Europe, and be able also to listen to some specific needs, like for cyclists and pedestrians. This is an overview of Just Streets. The project is running for 3.5 years. It has been funded with more than 10 million euros. And we have a structure with pilot and follower cities. So we have 8 pilot cities. 5 of them are mission cities, which will really test and experiment interventions in their streets. And then we have 4 followers, which will analyze data, run the co-creation process, and learn from the pilot cities, and so to build this network. Then we are engaging other 12 twinning cities, which we just had an open call for cities in Europe to join, and we will involve these 12 twinning in our peer learning process to help transfer and scale up our actions. What are our main challenges is really to activate cities to deliver innovative and bold interventions. So to feel that they are a lighthouse in Europe, and they are called to experiment and test. And also how to assess local impacts is one of the open questions we are working on. This is our approach. I will just pass it very briefly. So we have a work package on engaging and producing knowledge, one on improving methods, which are then applied and tested through the Just Change work package. And then we have the evaluation work package. This is all contained in a feedback loop, where we, by testing, we also update the tools and activate this virtual cycle of learning. These are some of the methods and tools we are testing. So we have, and I'm quite proud of that, we are trying to bring together two different approaches, the quantitative and more engineeristic approach on traffic safety measurements, and qualitative methods that are helping us to assess the behavioral needs and to understand really the needs of people, especially the most vulnerable groups. Then the co-design and co-creation, which our cities have been focusing on in the almost until now. Then we have innovative urban design solutions, which will be tested, and some technology deployment that should support also the behavioral change we would like to reach, and then experiments and field observations. As Just Streets, we focus on mobility justice. So we are working on this multidimensional framework that should help and support cities to understand the people's ability to move and what their needs are, and which is focusing on the 4 dimensions of justice. And this is one of our recent results, which you can also download from our website, which is the Just Streets pathway. So it's a roadmap and a tool that really guides cities in this process. This is what our pilot cities are doing. So as you can see, almost until now, we have been focusing on the engagement and co-design process, which really, to be effective, really requires some time and effort, and also the support of experts. And our cities are now starting the implementation phase. And here I would like to show just some of the actions they are developing. And for example, this is the city of Riga, which is experimenting some tactical urbanism and low-cost intervention to deliver a safer public space. This is the case of a crossroad, which has been reclaimed to cars and given back to inhabitants. Here we have the case of Cugir, which is a small town in Romania, and they already had a good infrastructural network because they have good bike networks and also pedestrian streets, but the problem was more that people didn't really use it. And just a curiosity, for example, young people under 14 are not allowed to go by bike by themselves because it's too dangerous. So with them, we are working on changing really the culture and the behavior of the residents through some initiatives to promote this active mobility behavior, and by involving schools, having a Green Friday, for example, each month, with initiatives also to foster the use of public transport with music, as you can see here in the picture. And last example is the city of Braga, which is really experimenting a cultural barrier because there is a high car dependency, like in most of the cities in Europe. So they decided to work with children as and young people as agents of change, also to reach their families. And they started by experimenting some temporary closure of the street to show how the public space would look like if we use it for activities, for meeting, and not just for parking cars. And this is showing to be an effective intervention. As a result, an impact of Just Streets, we are supporting our cities in understanding how to embed active mobility strategies into their SAMP, so to work also on the planning level and on the tools that cities have. Here are some results of an analysis, and an interesting output is that communication campaigns are often under considered. They are not present in the SAMP, and this is something really powerful to start the change. And it's something we are working on with targeted strategies for cities. To close, I would like to present our Just Streets manifesto, which we are working on and will be out in a couple of months. So starting from an experience developed in the Netherlands, we are now bringing it to a European level, because we think that a network of city, a legacy, is needed to really start the change towards more just streets. And based on 5 very simple principles, we are now engaging other cities in Europe to commit to these goals and objectives, and start the change with some actions in the cities. And we would really like to offer support in that, and we see it as an action that will last also after the end of the project. So that's all from my side. I'm here if you have questions, and here you have my email in case you want to get in contact, and our website and social media for Just Streets.
Thank you, Julia, for presenting the project. I would like now to invite the next project, Pathways to Resilience, and Mr. Thomas Coetz to present from the Missions Climate. And I would like also to ask our next speakers to keep to the time frame of the agenda, please. We are a little bit late of our agenda. So the floor is yours, Thomas, please.
Yes, thank you very much for this invitation, Tigran, and for being able to present our project, Pathway to Resilience, which is one of the flagship projects of the mission adaptation. It is overall a 30 million euro envelope, of which 21 million are going to regional projects or regions themselves, to fund 100 regions that we, with this project, are supporting and accompanying in a design process on a journey to produce strategies and investment plans for reaching climate resilience. And so it's one of the examples of these financial support to third parties and subgranting projects, which we here present. Pathway to Resilience is aiming at a key project to deliver on the second objective of the mission adaptation, which is to support and have 100 regions and communities to design a vision and innovation pathways to develop develop enabling conditions and solutions. So it's really sort of the strategizing process or a step of the mission before then actually to implement and build and test and scaling up. Now, it's a 5-year project. It started in January 23, and we are now sort of 3/5 through the project. We are, as I said, supporting 100 regions with our sub-granted process. We have done, or we are doing this in 2 different groups. So we call them cohorts. We have a first cohort of 40 regions that started in October 24 and will end in March 26. So working with us 18 months, and when we have a second cohort starting in January 26 and working with us until June 27. And so for the first cohort, we had 39 regions and communities from 29 different countries from the EU and associated countries to the Horizon Europe project program. Nicely scattered and spread across Europe. And in the second call, we are just about to announce, beginning of January, we will be able to go public once we have the signatures on the contracts with the regions. But we have and will be onboarding another 61 regions and communities from 35 countries. Here you can already see the different countries from which we are sort of adding regions to the mix for the second group. Particularly interesting and happy I am to have 4 regions from Ukraine, for example, and also other countries that haven't been covered in the first roundabout. So, for example, Belgium and others. What we do with these regions is we take them on a journey, on a transitional journey or transformational journey, if you so want, to climate resilience. And we focus here on the first 3 phases of this journey, as you can see it, what we call the regional resilience journey. So the first 3 phases are, on the one hand, a first phase preparing the ground, where we go into, or we support the regions and systems mapping, stakeholder mapping, and climate risk assessments and assessment of capabilities. We go then to the next phase and support them in exploring different plausible futures, and then thinking about sort of, or in the process of actually getting to a common and shared vision of where they want to end up and what would be the region's own vision for climate resilience in the future. And then based on that agreement, help them develop different pathways of how to reach this envisioned resilient future, and turn these pathways into a strategy and action plans. And so this is 2 of the main final deliverables. It's the overarching strategy, which aims to 2050 and beyond, also to 2100, if in some case the case, and action plans that cover the first 5 years after the finishing of a project in order to get actually going with it. In order to support the actionability of this action plans and strategies, we put a lot of emphasis on the enabling conditions to transition to climate resilience, which are covered here. So this includes knowledge, governance and engagement, capacities, behavior change, and monitoring, experiment and learn. But also very centrally, and this is the slide about financing and resources. So we have developed an additional very focused track of training and support on mobilizing finances and financing for enabling these strategies and climate resilience action plans, which then at the end is to lead to a climate resilience investment plan underpinning these strategies and action plans. And it's particularly focusing on addressing barriers to adaptation finance. All this is supported through the 18 months for the regions with a P2R's support program, which includes many different dimensions. First and foremost, a group training sessions, but we also have obviously developed guidance documents. We have peer-to-peer mentoring. We have a web-based toolbox to use, to support and propose different methods and tools and templates, etc., for the different things, etc., etc. So there's a lot of different angles of our support. And this is sort of a little bit how a journey through these 18 months we are taking these regions looks like. There you find again the 3 phases. We support the regions with over this time of the 18 months with 18 different webinar sessions where we go through the different steps and explain how to implement these different steps to get to these strategies and investment plans, plus numerous other kind of interventions such as peer-to-peer exchanges on an innovation practice or questions, sessions, etc., etc. We have also 2 or 3 on in-person meetings during this phase. It's sort of an onboarding and offboarding, and in the middle, like a sense-making session where all the regions come together and share the experience. First, feedback, and since that was sort of also the request to share feedback of this, so this is a first experience from the first cohort, so from the first almost 40 regions we've had while they were halfway through the process. And so first of all, we were very happy to hear that they were very satisfied with the overall support of P2R, and they found, for example, also the P2R guidance documents very useful. One guidance document for the strategy and action plan, and another one very specifically only on the financing, mobilization of financing. That is very closely interlinked, these 2 guidances and processes. This, again, halfway through the first cohort's journey, not yet with final deliverables, but we found that they had certain challenges in applying their work. And one of the multi-level coordination gaps was one of the key problems they faced, the key challenges, together with technical skill gap, but also stakeholder participation and data fragmentation was amongst the higher level of problems. So coordination often seems to be more complex than expected. Institutional readiness, on the other hand, often lags behind technical capacity, and knowledge gaps, if you so want, persists despite available data. Nevertheless, we have also found that already halfway through this program with these first 40 regions, that there's significant changes or even transformations in being emergent, reported by these regions. And for example, significant emerging changes consider or relate to mindset shifts within the regions that we work with, a more systemic and integrated approach to this planning and strategizing, and very importantly, also new forms of collaborations and engagement with citizens and other stakeholders that help progress towards regional resilience that have been actually sort of materialized. More concretely, we have heard that the RJ and the guidance documents were really hailed for or praised for being helpful in translating complex concepts into very clear collaboration action. And we had concrete collaboration successes. For example, there were several multi-stakeholder workshops facilitated, different climate resilience teams established in various different regions, and creating systematic engagement process like citizen assemblies and others that align different departments and citizens in the way forward to visioning, for example, the common climate resilient futures. And last but not least, this already at this point P2R supported producing tangible results. For example, in London, has costed the impact of the 22 heat wave, detailed costing of this event, which now is very helpful in driving stakeholder engagement towards a plan to actually address these issues. Last but not least, before thanking you, I wanted to also reflect what has been said by others before, and that is these FSTP, financial support to third parties projects, this instrument of Horizon Europe within the mission is really working very well from our perspective. It is something that allows unusual suspects, if you so want, within the region, so the regional authorities to be able to fully engage in ways that were otherwise a bit more difficult to do, and it's one of the ways to really get them working interactively in these cross-European projects. So it's from our side a suggestion back to keep up the good work in the European Commission on these missions, and to maybe have more of these sub-granting projects coming around. Thank you very much at this point, and looking forward to the rest of the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you. It's really, really impressive to know how you do wide outreach of the project to different regions in the Europe and associated countries. And also, thank you very much. I think it's a very good example of also regional impact. So thank you. And let's go to our next presenter. The next presentation is from Cluster 5. And I would like to invite Dana Miku to present the Carmine project funded under Cluster 5. So Dana, floor is yours, please.
Hello, everybody. I am here to represent the Carmine project. It's a Cluster 5 project. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you for having us in this meeting. So the Carmine project was funded in this call that was focused on the modeling for local climate, local resilience, development in support of local adaptation and assessment and plans. It's a project with a large consortium. It's a 32 partner consortium from 11 countries, a large consortium that also includes a number of stakeholders that are partners among research and innovation institutions. So it's a 48 months project, and with a large budget. So its vision is to support the development of climate resilience pathways for local authorities coming from metropolitan regions of Europe. In this project, we considered the definition of metropolitan regions as it is given by Eurostat. So we support the development of climate resilient pathways for this kind of regions while bridging different spatial scales from local to regional. And we are doing this with some decision support tools that we are co-developing in this project, but also through a multi-level climate governance while fostering local adaptation and inclusion of nature-based solutions. The project contributes to the achievement of the EU climate adaptation missions because it also ensures an operational linkages with the climate adapt platform. Okay. So the project is focusing on a near future time frame, 2030-2035, but also consider a longer perspective, the perspective of 2050. And when doing this, aims to co-create and co-develop decision support services and guidelines, supporting guidelines for different users, which are usually local authorities from metropolitan regions of Europe. Also aims to cooperate closely with local and regional communities, and is doing this from the early stages of the project, but also with decision and policymakers. And it also aims to deliver science-based roadmaps in support of multi-level climate governance. The project is structured in 8 work packages, considering one of management, and one is dedicated to climate modeling, one is dedicated to complex socioeconomic risk and vulnerability assessment, And other two, which are more technical, the work package 4 and 5, which are dedicated to the development of decision support tools. The core of the entire project is the stakeholder engagement, and this is facilitated by a large network of living labs that are that is facilitated. This network is facilitated by work package 1, and these living labs are connected with 8 case studies in the project that are associated with important metropolitan regions of Europe that reflects different socioeconomic context. And of course, there are other two work packages that are focusing on the uptake and dissemination, exploitation, and communication of the results, but also to the development of policy recommendations. So the project has 5 specific objectives. It starts from a review of what is missing from different resources, tools, practices, policies, and methodologies. We used the results of this review to develop and to improve the high resolution risk assessment modeling approach, and to co-produce further climate adaptation and resilience framework in support of living labs and digital twins. It also uses everything to co-produce an important decision making tool, which is the impact-based decision support service, which is produced in the work package 5, that blends everything, all the data related to climate, environment, and socioeconomic data, and everything that is delivered by the socioeconomic impact risk assessment conducted in work package 3. And lastly, the last the last specific objective 5 is focusing on road mapping the priorities for research and innovation in support of adaptation and resilience for informed policies, with the time frames and perspectives that I was mentioning, 2030, 2035, and beyond it, 2050. So as mentioning before, the project has 8 case studies. They are covering a lot of regions across Europe. They are related to metropolitan regions with different socioeconomic contexts, and they are acting as implementation pilots for Europe. And for each case study of the project, there is an associated digital twin. All these digital twins are somehow climate replicas of the real metropolitan regions, and they are powered by the living labs that has been established from the beginning of the project. So the metropolitan regions are Birmingham, Leipzig, Barcelona, Bologna, Odense, Prague, Brasov, and Athens. These metropolitan regions are and associated digital twins are addressing some priority climate risks or challenges such as urban flooding, heat stress, wildfires, water scarcity. What it is needed to mention also is that this digital twin Athens, also called DT Heat Plus, is already operational, and it is onboarded on the Destiny Earth platform. This is a network of the living labs that has been established so far, and they are working already. There are a lot of interactions going on in each living lab. Constant meetings are organized, face-to-face meeting, online meetings, but also focus group meetings with different stakeholder groups. And they are all connected in this stakeholder community hub. And everything everything that it is extracted from here, from these interactions, active interactions between stakeholders, are used to develop further our decision support tools. Another digital solution proposed by Carmine is an atlas of climate resilience that includes nature-based solutions in support of adaptation planning. As mentioned before, this tool is also co-designed with what's happening in case study areas and living labs, but also we connect it with digital tool and digital twin ecosystems. This is an ongoing activity. The tool is under co-development, and the tool is aligned with important standards and state-of-the-art principles like FAIR and OGC in order to facilitate and use it beyond the project end. And the last tool that the project is co-developing is this impact-based decision support service, the IDSS, which is the most complex one because it puts everything together and it connects everything what's happening in the project and in the living labs, put it together. It also established links to the Climate Adapt platform. The first links has been already established with this platform. This tool ingest a lot of data coming from case study level, so local data, risk modeling data, socioeconomic data, also connects with the digital twins of each case study of the project, and includes also a large amount of other reference data. They are putting together and mapped using a federated data management system developed under the project. And this will be available for the users with having an interactive visualization interface that will be facilitated by Mathematics, one of the partners in this project, and will be based on the Mathematics solution already operational. So before ending, these are the key takeaways. So we are in the month 22 of the project. So far, we did a lot of progress in establishing living labs and keep them operational and interconnected through the stakeholder community hub. Important steps has been done in assessing climate change related hazards and also risks in each metropolitan region of Europe selected as a case study. The modeling framework has been harmonized and it is operational. It already provide key data and key information for feeding the decision support tools that are co-developed. The socioeconomic vulnerability profiles has been nearly completed. The DTs, the digital twins, are advanced. One is already onboarded on the Destination Earth platform, and the other tools are under development with different levels of maturity. The federated data management system for the proposed solutions is operational. There is a strong communication, a strong engagement between the stakeholders of the project, and it is in place, and it provides valuable information for developing the tools. And this will feed and put the basis for road mapping, real solution for decision making. So this will be all from our side, and if you have further questions, you feel free to contact Mr. Sorin Cheval, which is the coordinator of the project, and I was speaking for him. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Dana, for the project presentation. Now let's go to another mission project, and I would like to invite Natasha Jaspert to present Blue Connect project funded under Mission Ocean. Please, Natasha.
Yes. You should be able to see my slides now. Is that correct?
Yes, we see it. Please.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. It was very interesting to hear from the other missions until now, and I'm excited to see all the other presentations that are also coming next. I will present the Project Blue Connect from the mission Ocean, and this project focuses on strict protection, restoration, and co-management of marine protected areas. And we want to ensure effective ecosystem conservation and work towards improved connectivity of blue corridors. Looking at the project, as I said, we are funded under the Horizon Europe Ocean Mission Blue Parks, and we are an innovation action. And that means that we are trying to produce plans or designs for new or improved products, processes or services, including prototyping and testing, demonstration, piloting, and large-scale product validation. This project addresses several legislations and directives, including the EU Green Deal, the EU Biodiversity Strategy for 2030, the Restoration Law that is now being implemented on national level, and also other directives such as the MSFD, the Habitats and Birds Directive, etc. And this makes it highly relevant at the current stage. And we are covering 4 different sea basins: the Atlantic, the North Sea, the Mediterranean, and Black Sea. We started our project last year in September, and it runs for 42 months and will therefore end in February 2028. And we are trying to also build up on projects that are still ongoing, but have also ended already, like the MSP4 Bio project that ended this summer, and really trying to kind of synergize and gather different expertise also from different projects, to have more impact. This is our consortium. We have around 25 partners in this project, covering all sea basins and a lot of countries in the European Union. And this, of course, also brings together a lot of expertise in different topics. Could be stakeholder management, could be conservation effectiveness, modeling, and so on and so on. At its core, Blue Connect aims to bridge the gaps in marine conservation. So we're focusing on ensuring effective ecosystem conservation, improving ecological connectivity, as I said, and contributing to the resilience of MPAs in Europe. Our overarching goal is to create a systematic approach that brings together MPA managers and authorities, industries, and local communities to really co-develop sustainable solutions. And one of our key deliverables will be the creation of a blueprint for marine conservation, which we are working on right now with our sister project, Blue for All. And this is a science-based step-by-step guide for stakeholders to guide marine conservation planning. And it's supposed to be kind of like an Amazon-style platform, an online platform where you can really search for different tools and processes related to MPA management that are validated already and tested in our demonstration sites. Yes, this blueprint will integrate biodiversity, ecological functions, ecosystem services, and stakeholder input. And it's designed to evolve over time also, taking into account the impacts of climate change, which is also linked, of course, to the mission climate, and seeing how this can affect marine ecosystems and make the measures that we implement more sustainable. Yes, the project has several very tangible outcomes that we are working right now that will drive impact. And some of these are the development of a holistic modeling framework that incorporates biodiversity and ecosystem services alongside socioeconomic and cultural factors. We will have a roadmap with a toolkit for identification of ecological corridors in EU sea basins. And we want to create a governance toolkit for co-defining conservation measures. And also, we want to create a system for monitoring and assessing conservation effectiveness, which is a very important point because we see nowadays that a lot of marine protected areas are getting designated, but then are more or less poorly implemented, leading to a lack of effectiveness and therefore a lack of real outcomes in that sense. Yes, and then we are also creating several stakeholder engagement tools that will foster collaboration between MPA managers, authorities, and local communities. And we're doing this by creating local stakeholder working groups per demonstration site that we have. And this creates then a sense of co-ownership, and we are trying to empower communities to actively participate in marine conservation. In general, we hope that this project will improve the understanding of co-management challenges, gaps, and opportunities at local, national, and also European level, and offer solutions based on demonstrated good practices. And therefore, our main focuses will then be to aid in designating new MPAs, expanding existing ones, transitioning from low protection levels to strict protection, also restoring ecosystem and enhancing ecological connectivity. In total, we have 12 demonstration sites across 4 sea basins that I mentioned before, the Atlantic, North Sea, Black Sea, and Mediterranean. These sites with their very diverse ecosystems and predefined conservation gaps will serve as a proving ground for our tools and methodologies in order to develop the blueprint. Currently, we have reached the point after 1 year of project implementation where we have set all realistic objectives for each of the demo sites, what they will be implementing, what they will be focusing on. And this includes for some sites more ecological connectivity, for others active restoration, in particular oyster restoration and seagrass restoration, but also passive restoration, such as shifting to strict protection. And all of the demo sites will implement stakeholder engagement and the co-management methodology that we are working on. Up next in our project in February 2026, we will have our first validation workshop with local stakeholders to discuss tools and processes and gather locally relevant stakeholder input per site. And for each site, we want to highlight and understand how we can improve the status of these marine areas and to have a clear vision on what to expect by the end of the project, together with a realistic work plan for achieving that. Yes, it's of course, it can be ambitious and challenging to have as many demonstration sites, but we think it's also a great opportunity to go beyond the regional and local levels and really exchange and network and bring stakeholders together. So as I mentioned, the current status, we have now the first draft of our integrated framework for science-based conservation objectives, and we're also already implementing the connectivity framework that we're developing in some of the sites to get preliminary results on how it works and how the process could be improved. We have established our local stakeholder working groups per site and have started to really engage stakeholders and improve citizen cooperation in the sites. And I just want to show you the first draft of the framework that is kind of like an iterative process where each demo site can choose where to start and what is relevant for them, and yes, use this framework to guide their objectives for the site. Our project is designed with a broad and diverse group of stakeholders in mind. especially those directly involved in managing and protecting MPAs. And this includes MPA managers and marine planners, conservation and restoration advocates like NGOs, and of course also policymakers from various sectors and those involved in regional cooperation. And bringing these different but relevant stakeholders together is an important feature of this project. And with this, we're continuing the legacy of projects such as MSP4Bio or Blue4Aura and others. Blue Connect also aims to help decision makers at all levels of governance, ensuring that the strategies we develop for conservation are not only put into action, but also effectively monitored and adapted when necessary. Yes, the expected outcomes of Blue Connect are far-reaching. We aim to improve co-management practices across Europe, enhance stakeholder cooperation, update conservation measures, and integrate connectivity, as I mentioned before. And yes, we then, in the end of the project, want to really showcase these results to guarantee the uptake. And we want to create this scalable model that can be adapted to different regions and different sites, making it transferable, not just to our demo sites, but beyond. Second. Now, to strengthen our efforts even further, we are working closely together with other projects that have similar objectives. Our collaboration with Protect Baltic, for example, will help to link our project with the Baltic Sea, where we are lacking some demo sites maybe. And in our local stakeholder working groups, we're bringing these regional policy actors and MPA communities together to co-create these sustainable solution, which is always kind of guaranteeing the sustainability of measures. And especially with our demo site, size EPSA, we're planning to take our work to a transboundary level and focusing on the transferability and scalability of our tools. Yes, and as a Blue Parks project, we're also part of the Blue Parks community, which facilitates collaboration with Blue Parks projects, and it really helps to exchange and gives this platform to discuss and see how we can strengthen our efforts. And then lastly, I just want to highlight that we, with Blue4All, we created the MPA Community Network, which is an umbrella initiative launched through the Blue4All project. And it is developed to centralize and connect MPA-related projects across Europe, just to also bring people together. We are now discussing how we can integrate it into the Blue Parks community, but just to reduce fragmentation and improve coordination and enhance networking for more effective marine conservation. Because there are so many projects and so many initiatives, but we really like to strengthen our efforts by combining them and synergizing. And yes, the highlights of our project, as I mentioned before, we want to mainstream connectivity and the corridors. We want to shift to strict protection in some of the areas, enhance restoration processes, and suggest MPA expansions in some cases. We want to empower stakeholders and increase citizen engagement in the sites, and we also want to increase the monitoring of conservation effectiveness. And with the final outcome of Blue Connect, the blueprint that I mentioned, we really think that this is very applicable on different scales and different levels in policy. And that's why the project itself is also directly influencing these different policy scales from local, regional to transboundary levels with our demo sites across Europe. And for policymakers, we will produce a joint policy brief also with similar projects together, essential recommendations for the way forward. And we will have these story maps and these roadshows to really showcase our results in the end. With that, I am done for today. I hope, I could give you a little bit of insight into our project, and I am happy to answer all of your questions. You have my email address there. We have a website also, and social media. We have a LinkedIn account, and yeah, we are happy to get in touch. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you for your presentation. Now let's go on to another mission project. I would like to invite Sara Dagnotti to present Bean-to-Bean project funded under Mission Soil. Please, Sara.
Hi, hello everyone. I think you should be able to see my slide now. So,
yes, we see it. Please.
Me to this session. I'm Sara Dagnotti. I'm head of Bioeconomy Project Management Unit at Consortital Biotech. And today I will present the Bean-to-Bean project, which is funded by the Mission Soil and which Consortital Biotech is currently coordinating. So the project is funded by the Mission Soil, which, as the name says, is focused on protecting as well as restoring soils and in general promoting the sustainable management of soils in urban and rural areas. Soils, of course, has a lot of vital ecosystem services in it, from producing foods to storing and cycling carbon to including supporting human activity, landscape and cultural heritage. But as the USO confirmed, about 60% of soils in Europe are considered unhealthy due to management practice, pollution, urbanization, and in general climate change. So here is where soil stands and also where our Bean-to-Bean project stands. In particular, our project is funded by a call, which is kind of particular because it's a circular economy based call, which aims to use biowaste to improve the healthiness of soil. In particular, it has been proved that biowaste have a lot of benefits for the soils. It helps sequestrate 34 million tons of CO2 in soil. This is data that is based on an assumption that all organic waste produced globally were collected and converted in compost. It would also help increase water capacity. Here again, another estimate of 3.8 liters of water over 1 square meter of soil if compost is applied at a rate of 30 tons per hectare per year over 20 years. And again, it would also help store nitrogen and phosphate. In general, what these biowaste can do is that they can have the soil they have soil improvers properties that have been demonstrated to be able to compensate for a lack of fertilizer, for example. However, despite biowaste have all this importance, the struggle to reach the market and to reach the final application of these products is real. And indeed, now only 80% of European biowaste, not only 80% of European biowaste are currently landfill or incinerated, and only 70% of municipal waste is composted or digested to obtain these soil improvers. So what the Bean-to-Bean project wants to do is to support European cities to take this resource and transform this resource, so bio-waste, into effective soil improvers through innovative and economically viable value chains with the aim of supporting healthy soil. So the Bean-to-Bean project really is at the center of this cycle where it takes food waste to transform them into something that can be used to improve the health of the soil, which in turn, for example, can improve again food production. So it's really a circular, a circular pathway that we are trying to pursue. So what the project done? The project has started in 2021 and will end in August last year. So we are almost at the end of our journey. But basically, the project starts from 3 cities as living labs. So really some demonstration places where we wanted to show how turning bio-waste into soil improver can effectively support healthy soils. In particular, starting from these 3 cities where we implemented a series of activities that I show later, we wanted to develop some tools that can be used also by other cities and to replicate our approach. These include an improved evaluation framework for soil improvers, a scoring system to compare existing solution to understand which one is more useful for example, the cities that is trying to apply it. And also some business models related to this solution. And finally, some support. We wanted also to provide some support to policymakers in boosting this local regenerative soil system. But now the interesting part, I think, it's what we have done in the living labs. In the project we have 3 living labs in 3 different countries, with the idea really to cover for the most 4 different pedoclimatic regions. Here we start with Egalio in Greece. Egalio is actually it was at the beginning the less advanced city among our living labs in terms from the implementation of these bio-waste to soil improver value chain. And indeed, in the project, we had to develop the entire value chain from scratch. So they started by deploying 120 bins across the city, and by providing 400 household bins and 2,000 paper bags to the cities, and to really start this separate bio-waste collection. In particular, also they try to involve schools in their activities with the idea of educating the citizen of tomorrow, and also to educate others through their own children. So they involved 11 schools, and now actually they become 13. In community composting activities to produce compost to be used in the same school. Also, their idea is to really close the cycle by using the compost that they will obtain after implementing this food value chain into the local grove, to really restore the soil of the local grove. Then we come to Hamburg in Germany. This is completely opposite to Egalio, because in Hamburg we had full value chain already implemented when we started. However, what they noticed was that, especially in some area of the city, the quality of the separated bio-waste was very poor, and this meant also that the bio-waste could not be recycled. So a lot of resources were actually underexploited and wasted somehow. So we help them implement an approach with the aim of reducing to less than 1% the impurities in this bio-waste, to indeed obtain an improved quality of the bio-waste, which also meant more quantity of bio-waste that can be treated, and eventually more quantity of compost that could be used. In particular, they implemented a series of communication and awareness-raising activities in 2 organic waste collection tours that cover 61 locations and 4,000 users. and to test these activities and see if actually they could improve the quality of the biowaste. We are still waiting for the results, but we hope they will have a positive effect. Also, they started distributing compost samples to citizens to really show them what they were doing with all their effort. Finally, the compost that they are producing, the main part of this compost is reused by local farmlands, really with the idea to fully close the loop. Finally, Amsterdam. Here is where we developed the most disruptive technologies, we could say, because they started to develop this kitchen grinder system. So a system where you can dispose of your biowaste through the kitchen sink. But differently from what we are used to, this system can actually recover the biowaste, then to valorize them through mainly anaerobic digestion and obtain some kind of soil improver that you can again use in the soil. So that's what we did with the Free Living Labs, and besides having concrete advancement here, we are also using all these results to build some kind of results that can be used and replicated by cities and other local operators. So we start with these toolbox with roadmap and guidelines that really have the idea to help cities replicate our approach and build these effective value chains into their own city. Then we have a scoring system as a decision-making tool to compute the overall performance of different solutions in this biowaste to soil improver value chain, so that the city can choose which one is better implement into the city, where to spend their money, for example. We will also implement an app for end users, so that end user can see which kind of soil improver is better for their own field. And we are also working on policy tools for including policy recommendation at European, national, and local level, and also on sustainable business models to prove that social value, environmental quality, and economic benefit can go hand in hand when we have efficient biowaste to soil improver value chain. All these results are also aimed to feed back into the mission soil. So especially the policy ones, we are constantly discussing with our policy officer to see how we can collaborate and provide support also at a wider and European level. And yeah, that was it from my side. So here are my contact details in case you would like to know more or have some question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for presentation. Now let's go on to our presenter from the cluster, relevant cluster project. I would like to invite Inyan Murthy from Urban Relief Project, funded under Cluster 6. Please, Inyan, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Thanks, Tigran, and thanks to all the organizers for the invitation to this workshop. My name is Inyan Murthy, and I'm presenting not only on behalf of the coordination team, Gerrit Haga and Todd Harwell, but also the 15-partner consortium of our Urban Relief Project. The project is titled Citizen-Powered Data Ecosystems for Inclusive and Green Urban Transitions. So for the next few minutes, I'll just place the spotlight on our motivation, our approach, and share some stories from the cities that we're working with and how the residents are helping address urban challenges. I think we're all becoming increasingly aware that urbanization is just increasing globally. There's an estimated 2.4 billion additional people that will live in cities by 2050. And this is now leading to several environmental stresses in cities. However, there are critical data gaps, for example, that undermine the evidence-based policies that's needed for just and sustainable cities. We're also finding that there are these accentuated inequalities, kind of unequal and disparities in access to urban green spaces and access to health-related benefits. And by and large, we see that there's public participation in this process growing, but it still remains slow, uneven, and inconsistent. So on that note, this is where Urban Relief steps in. We believe that the power of citizen science is central to addressing some of these challenges. And the three motivation factors that I applied before helped us come together with this design of our project, where we focus on empowering communities with citizen-driven data to influence public policy and strengthen city resilience for all. So how do we go about doing this? Well, we first need to build some relationship. We need to identify opportunities for citizen science across the cities that we're working with. We then design citizen science campaigns and test change that's possible at a local level. And to be able to do that, we enable participation and build local communities with local stakeholders as well. And hopefully, when we do all those things, we're able to then influence policy, the data use, and governance of the approaches that we have taken. Now, there's a lot of buzzwords in here in this figure, but what we're really doing is making friends. We're trying cool stuff. We're rallying people and changing the rules. And hopefully, when we change the rules, we can make new friends that like those new rules. So on that front, the project actually brings together 6 different cities: Athens, Cascais, Dundee, Mannheim, Riga, and Utrecht. So these cities were onboarded in the project design phase already, or the proposal design phase. And within these cities, we're working across several different themes that address urban challenges. And those themes can be green space perception, urban trees, air quality, or heat stress. So we worked with the cities themselves for them to identify what was relevant to them. So green space perception may be relevant to one city, but not to another. So we let them co-design with their stakeholders on the local topic of relevance. So I'll take a few minutes now to share a bit of the stories across the cities that we're working with, and just highlighting 3 of them actually. First of all, let's go to Portugal, to Cascais, just outside of Lisbon, where their focus was looking at green space perception. They wanted to have a better understanding of how the local residents were using the green spaces and collective subjective information about how they felt in these green spaces. So this sort of subjective information can be difficult for cities to collect, but they add a lot of rich context and value to objective information that the cities may have in terms of mapping of green spaces or mapping of open spaces. So when we ran this campaign in 2024, we engaged some 1,400 citizens, of which 58% identified as female across 7 urban parks. So we're now in the process of using these perceptions that we recorded from these citizens to help monitor and help address their green space and tree protection regulation. So as the workshop is about policy to practice and maybe back to policy, I've helped to identify the key local level policies that we're addressing when we are working with these cities. So in addition to the green space and tree protection regulation, our data will also help support Cascais with the Municipal Climate Action Plan. So quickly switching gears now to Utrecht, the Netherlands. When we brought Utrecht on board into this project, we realized that this was a city that was already well versed in the world of citizen science, and a lot of the other cities, such as Cascais, could learn from the work that Utrecht had already done. So we have this great approach to actually have some city-to-city sharing that's taking place throughout the project. Unlike green space perception in Cascais, Utrecht focused on heat stress. They wanted to build green neighborhoods, cool neighborhoods. So we worked with them and actually put together a design of a wearable sensor that measures temperature and relative humidity. So it measures this data at a very high spatial and temporal resolution, so we can get street level data that can complement existing methods and models for understanding heat stress in Utrecht. To give you an example of our degree of engagement, we had some 325 citizens engaged, and we had about 120 of these wearable sensors operating in the city over the summers of 2024 and 2025, collecting something in the order of 110,000 observations, which now feed into the climate adaptation vision for 2026, as well as direct inputs to the digital twin that Utrecht is sharing with their residents. And the final story that I'll share is from Riga, and we already heard from some of the activities going on in Riga from the Just Streets project. So taking a slightly different angle, we're looking at the air quality within Riga, where we worked with the city to install 20 commercial sensors in different areas throughout the city, including high traffic areas, as well as urban green spaces. So what this does now is that it provides a dense network of sensors to address all the potential gaps in data that come from the one official air quality monitoring station that's in Riga. So over the last 2 years, we've collected somewhere in the order of 175,000 hourly observations, which now feed into their local plans, including the greening plan, low emission zones, and air quality action programs. So with the stories from Kashkash and the stories from Utrecht and the stories from Riga, you get a bit of a flavor of what this project is doing, where we're actually engaging with local residents, engaging with local actors to build new types of data streams that can complement existing official data streams to get better policy monitoring and get better approaches to designing new policies for the cities. So if any of the work that I've mentioned so far kind of rings true to some of you, we've just recently launched our accelerator program, where we're bringing on board new cities or new regions that are interested to implement some of these actions. I'll happily share the link to this accelerator program in the chat afterwards. But in this next upcoming year, we would like to have online and potentially in-person sessions with some cities on how they can work with these tools and these approaches to better improve their urban greening plans or climate adaptation plans, as well as support community engagement. So that brings me to the end of my talk. So thank you for your time and attention. Please feel free to connect with our project on LinkedIn and Instagram, and don't hesitate to reach out to me directly as well. My email address is there. Thank you again for your time and attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ian, for presenting the project. Now let's go to another mission project, and I would like to invite Jan Goci Borda to present the ECOS project funded under Mission Cancer. So the floor is yours, my dear friend. Jan, please.
Thank you, Tigran, and thank you for involving us in this event. We are very excited to be able to participate in this type of events where we bring all the missions together. I will be presenting today on behalf of a consortium of around 52 partners, the ECOS project. So the ECOS project is about establishing national cancer mission hubs in the EU 27 member states and in associated countries. We are funded under the Mission on Cancer, and my role in the project is that of work package leader on synergy. So that's work package 4 of the ECOS project. I don't need to go into too much detail as to regard the challenge, the societal challenge that cancer brings with it. We all know that this is societal challenges that is affecting 1 in every 4 EU citizens, and the European Union has committed itself to fighting the disease and to improve the lives of around 3 million European citizens by 2030. In fact, this is illustrated in the political commitments and documents that have been issued both by the DG Sante and DG RTD. One of them is on the Europe's Beating Cancer Plan, and the other one is on Conquering Cancer Mission Possible. So that's in a nutshell the cancer mission. There are specific goals to be implemented before 2030, and this is where the role for the National Cancer Mission Hubs comes in. We come in as an interlocutor between the policy side, between the DG RTD, DG Sante, and the patients, who are the ultimate target audience that we have. as you can see, the National Cancer Mission Hubs have a kind of central role when it comes to balancing out between the policy aspects of the cancer mission. So the policy that is needed at the higher levels, at the national level, but also at the stakeholder level and at the patient's level. So it goes in different levels. And the cancer mission hubs are designed in a way to bring all these actors together in a more concentrated way. In fact, you can see that the National Cancer Mission Hubs do act as conveners of the community. They are not healthcare providers, they are not researchers, and they are not regulators, but they are a mix of different expertise that come together to help fight this fight against cancer. We can call the National Cancer Mission Hubs as facilitators to connect the healthcare community, the research community, and beyond. And we have been undertaking quite a lot of work under a specific task 4.3, which we also happen to be task leaders of, and that is connecting the hubs with all the other missions. We are implementing quite a number of synergies when it comes to connecting the other missions. In particular, we will be having an event in the European Parliament in March, where we intend to connect all the missions to come together, and also the regions, which are also part of our work when it comes to implementation of the hubs at the regional level. So, if I may, this is a kind of concept model. So this is how we envisaged hubs to be. So basically, you have 5 parts coming from business, healthcare, knowledge academia, public administration, citizens, and civil society. This is what we call the pentahelix. So basically trying to pull together all the actors possible. We do enshrine a number of values when it comes to trust from, for example, the business, the pharma industry, the knowledge, which is coming from the health and care segment, but also from the knowledge and academia, like universities, etc. Then we also have this diversity values that no EU citizens should be left behind when it comes to cancer care. But then, most important of all, we group all of this into these leadership actions. So the National Cancer Mission Hubs have this role of being leaders in the different societies. So we are planning to have National Cancer Mission Hubs in all the EU member states, where they are able to lead this coordination effort at the national level. So these are different models on how the cancer mission hubs can be constructed. We do have examples from all these types of models. So the creation of the models is completely in the hands of the authorities of the member states. For example, from Malta, we have chosen the legal organization type of organization. However, there are others which are kind of constructed in different ways. The common element is that they all have this pentahelix approach. So you have these stakeholders of the 5 stakeholders in each of the different models. We already have 5 established hubs. So these are in Poland, Greece, Malta, the Netherlands, and Bulgaria. So they've already started operations. We've already started work. They all have a legal office. They all have the pentahelix set up. They have been approved by the ECOS project, so they have the approval of the ECOS label, what we call the ECOS label. However, we also have 6 which are in the process of being approved, and these are from Italy, Sweden, Spain, Israel, Finland, and Croatia. There are other member states who have already also started or have a hub-like structure in their country. For example, I am aware that Belgium, for instance, have a type of a mirror group. So, and in other member states, there are other examples. So hopefully in the near future, more countries will have their hubs established. We are quite present in a lot of events. So through social media, we have all the resources and the tools. There you find our policy recommendations, also linking with the EuroHealth, for instance, and that is where we publish videos of our events. Then we also have like internal to the consortium, we do help the hubs through knowledge exchange meetings where we try to bring aspiring hubs together to discuss specific issues related to the setting up of hubs. But then we also have public events, and notably was the Cancer Mission Fair, which was organized last May in Warsaw. There we had the opportunity to bring a number of panels together to discuss different issues of the cancer. We're mainly focusing on the pillar structure of the Cancer Mission. We do have another Cancer Mission Fair coming up in, I believe, April, and this will be held in Nicosia in Cyprus. It is being held on the back of other presidency events. And also just last month, back to the European Cancer Organization Summit in Brussels, we organized the town hall event for the EFOS project. Our consortium is quite open. It's open, but at the same time restricted because of the resources that we have. We are partnering with the European Observatory, and we also hold a number of policy dialogues in a number of member states. So far, we've had 9 policy dialogues in Belgium, Hungary, Sweden, Ireland, Malta, Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Greece. We plan some more. We try to choose a topic. So the policy dialogues are normally with a specific topic to be discussed, and it is a way on how to scale up from a disorganized system to a more organized system in these countries. I can say more, but I think I should just leave it at this. We have quite an extensive library on our website. We have also a gallery where you can see some testimonials and also outcomes from the policy dialogues, for example, from the Cancer Fair recordings, etc., etc. And I think that's it. And I tried to be as efficient as possible. So thank you, Tigran, and thank you for the NCP4Missions project.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. No, dear colleagues, we are late, a little bit late of our agenda, of course, but I would like to invite all our participants still stay with us for another 15-20 minutes to have also our last presentation, and also to have some small time for question and answer and possible discussions. So I would like to invite Hidar Foran to present Flourish project, and which is funded under Cluster 1. Please, Hidar, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, yes, we see.
Okay, great. Then we'll get started. I'm very happy to be presenting our Flourish project. I'm the coordinator of the project from the University of Klagenfurt in Austria. Second. There we go. So a little bit about the background of our project. We are focused on adolescent mental health. and particularly early adolescence, as this is a critical period of development. And in early adolescence, so between the ages of 10 to 14, this is when about half of mental health problems emerge. And this can have lifelong impacts, so increasing risk for other problems such as substance use, affecting employment later on in adulthood, and also impacting other health risk behaviors such as nutrition or physical activity. And so what is one solution? Early intervention programs. These can be effective, they can be cost effective in addressing some of the risk factors for development of mental health problems. And that was our goal with the Flourish project, is to test a early intervention program, which I'll talk about more on the next slides. And this is also building on promising results we had from a previous Horizon 2020 project, where we tested a early intervention program focused on parenting with caregivers of a slightly younger age group, with children ages 2 to 9, and we wanted to expand to this very important at-risk and vulnerable age group of 10 to 14 and their caregivers, with the target being really on improving mental health and social well-being of youth. But the challenge is what intervention to select, what intervention is most cost-effective for these outcomes with that age group that can be scaled up and sustained in context. And we decided to focus on evaluating and adapting and testing the Parenting for Lifelong Health program. We've also worked with this in our previous projects with the younger version for the younger children. And it was initially designed to focus on improving child well-being and reducing risk of child maltreatment. It's open access, low cost, and also based on social learning theory and so evidence-based approaches. It's a group weekly based program for adolescents and their caregivers, guided by 2 facilitators. But there was a challenge enhancing this intervention that was initially more focused on violence prevention to have us more of a focus on adolescent mental health. And so what we decided to do was test the core intervention, the Parenting for Lifelong Health program for parents and teens with this young age group, but also evaluate add-on components that focused more on social and emotional skills in children. And this is a Helping Adolescents Thrive comics developed from UNICEF, and also a peer support component that was part of the Parenting for Lifelong Health program. And we wanted to enhance this, as well as how can we get families to participate? Is there evidence of incentives to increase participation? And so we looked at all of these different components. And as you see in the house on the right side, this is our model of support from the PLH program, where we have in different sessions different goals that are focused on with the adolescents and with the caregivers. In the middle is the Helping Adolescents Thrive, the Magnificent May comics that are targeting adolescents 10 to 14. And you also see the countries where we're working on these interventions. This is in Moldova and North Macedonia. And in these countries, I'll just say a little bit more about the service delivery organizations, because these interventions were developed by working closely together within the existing networks, with the end in mind from the beginning of what would be feasible to potentially scale up and sustain in the networks. And so the Institute for Alternativa has been a partner we've worked with for quite some time. They have a large network of practitioners that can be trained in parenting interventions and good connections in the regional and national networks, so that we have the service delivery system already set up from the beginning so that we can really make it fit in context. In Moldova, we work with the Health for Youth Association and the Youth Clinics Network, and this is across the entire country of of Moldova, with 41 districts that are included here, with a wide network for training and dissemination of these programs. This is a center for adolescent health that is integrated care, so focusing on both physical condition and illness as well as psychological and emotional well-being of adolescents, and also experience with parenting and caregiver interventions. Now, the objectives of Flourish were 3 primary objectives. It was to adapt this program in context in these sustainable delivery systems, to optimize the intervention in context, considering what's effective and scalable, and then to evaluate this and the adapted program. We had 3 phases. We followed the multiphasic optimization strategy framework, the adaptation phase, the optimization phase, and the evaluation phase. And across the entire project, we've been focusing on co-production and stakeholder participation, dissemination activities. We're also actively involved in scale-up modeling. Right now, this is a main activity for the next year. And we've also just recently in November had a regional conference, which we'll talk about later. Our project timeline, our project started in 2023. We implemented phase 1, and in 2024 through the middle of 2025, we've implemented phase 2, and we're right now in the middle of phase 3 with a randomized controlled trial. For phase 1, the adaptation and feasibility of the program in context, we conducted focus groups with adolescents, with parents, with professionals in the implementing organizations, and with external professionals from the onset. We also conducted interviews with professional experts to help us inform our adaptations that were necessary. And we conducted a pilot feasibility study with 64 caregivers and adolescents, each in both of the countries. Just briefly, after completing the phase 1 results, we learned a lot. We needed to adapt some of the components of the intervention quite extensively. For example, we expanded the mental health component to have 2 full sessions and changed that quite a bit. And we actually also changed the peer support intervention to use the I Support My Friends intervention from UNICEF in the next phase, as the evidence for some of those outcomes was not as strong as what we had seen in a previous trial with the younger age group. So with these adaptations in mind, we went through many rounds of revision, and you can see some of the different versions of the materials. These are also available on our study website in 6 different languages, I believe. Now, after this adaptation process and improving and informing the intervention, what we wanted to do was test it in a larger trial, but not just one intervention compared to a control condition. We wanted to look at 8 different component combinations to see which is most cost effective and really inform the next step of evaluation, looking at costs and components in combination. And as part of this, we tested the PLH Teens Core program with 3 different add-ons. So the mental health component add-on is helping adolescents thrive on or off, whether they had engagement boosters to enhance attendance was the idea in the program or not, and whether we had this peer support component just for the adolescents on or off, with the idea that these would lead to reduced parental distress, more positive parenting, better attendance, improved social emotional skills, and then in turn improve adolescent mental health. What we found briefly for phase 2 is with the 1,300 families that we had participate, or 1,300 individuals we had participate, we had relatively good retention at the post-assessment. And we found that across the board, regardless of the type of intervention from these 8 different components, there were significant improvements pre-post on mental health outcomes and the family outcomes that we were targeting. So it seemed that all of the interventions, or the core interventions, seemed to be working. And we didn't find so many differences between the components, but we did find the combination of the core PLH intervention plus this enhanced helping adolescents thrive for the adolescents focused on mental health and social emotional skills in combination was cost effective. And so we have two conclusions in terms of optimized interventions. We decided to take the more parsimonious approach and test the core intervention alone in the next phase, but I will just share some brief feedback from the families. This is from the North Macedonian families that participated, where you can see in this some feedback from the mother as well as the girl. Just reading the last one a bit, that the program helped their relationship with their little brother, to improve their communication, to try to understand and manage our emotions, support each other, and establish healthy family habits by setting respecting rules. And one other set of examples from the Republic of Moldova, you can see here that it gave them time to practice together, more time to focus on the quality of the relationship, to focus on positive aspects, but also learn how to handle conflict, and that negative aspects also can come up in these situations, and how to respond calmly without conflict through discussion. Now, going back to our model of the phases of the study, that takes us through phase 2 briefly. We are currently in the process of conducting phase 3, where we have another 1,300 families participating. We expect these results to be available in June of next year. Testing or optimized intervention from phase 2 compared to a waitlist control condition. And we're also continuing to work on these vertical objectives on the right as well. Now, focusing on scale up, we did begin with the end in mind, so there was a lot of involvement of stakeholder groups from the onset. We worked within existing systems and networks, building also on our past research within these networks and past relationships, and consulting stakeholders throughout the way. And also any of the initial adaptations, we considered also what was really something that would be possible to finance and scale up later. Many of the scale up issues that we've identified, some of them are listed here. Of course, staff workload and pay for delivery, how to integrate it within the existing workload, different funding models. We're looking at public financing models right now as well in this last phase, looking at some differences on what is needed in rural and urban regions. The training capacity building has also been a focus, prevention of stigma by making this also a universal prevention program for all families, and recruiting through schools and also with peer support, and some adaptations that need to be considered for different groups and languages across the settings. We also have used different implementation frameworks in our research, for example, the RE-AIM framework, and we'll continue to use this in our scale-up modeling and work that's continuing over the next year, looking at who is being reached, also the effectiveness evaluations, what organizations are adopting it, how well is it being implemented in terms of fidelity, and how it will be sustained at the organization level as well. Oops. Now, the next steps, we just completed the regional conference with 150 members from different service delivery organizations in Eastern and Southeastern Europe, and also with other European partners involved as well. Really focus on lessons learned of those and sharing this with those organizations where there may be potential for future scale up and testing of these types of programs that are much in need for adolescents and for families in different settings. So creating a synergy with this, we are awaiting the last trial results. We are also doing scale-up modeling. Right now we're starting simulations to model the health delivery systems in terms of how to scale up training across the national level, and compare the case studies of the different countries, as well as how to scale up in terms of reach of families. We're also continuing to do focus groups and scale up mappings with qualitative and quantitative approaches and continuing engagement. I would just like to thank you for your attendance and interest and participation, and also the consortium for the great collaborative work throughout the last years of this project already. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for presenting the project. Now, before going to the question and answer session and handing on to Yanis, the moderation, I would like to ask my colleagues also to share the screen with the QR code with access to the evaluation form. And I would like to ask all remaining our participants also to bring their input about evaluating our today's workshop, which help us to make fine-tune and also improve our next workshops. And please, Yanis, the floor is yours, whether we have any questions.
So there were some questions that in the meantime were answered in the chat. What I could say like real quickly is that for those asking about access to different materials that were referred to, as Mary said, there are some technical issues to the NCP portal today. So if you experience any difficulty at the moment, please try again a few minutes later or later on today. I'm sure they will fix it. There are also many messages regarding potential collaborations. And so for that reason, I also thought that it'd be important to share with all of you our brokerage event, which is taking place on January 28th and 29th, to which you can also register and connect with people interested in forming consortia for specific proposals. I hope this will help many of you. Then there was a question for Natasha Jaspert, to which she responded though, and it had to do with how well the project was able to connect with national marine protection authorities in various cases. And are there any partners, associated partners, and how they are involved? I don't know if Natasha wants to maybe add something to that, or if we can proceed to the next one.
I think Natasha has already left.
Has already left? Okay.
She wrote in the chat.
Okay. Then maybe, let me see. One question from Anna Navat to Dana Miku from the Carmine project, asking, it would be great to know a bit more about the so-called metropolitan regions and how do you work with them? I don't know if you could share. Yep. Okay.
Hi, everyone. It's a complex question. We work with them depending on what we need from them. The parts of the project that I have been involved in so far are related to the direct engagement. So we organize living labs meetings with different stakeholder groups. So we met with young people of Brașov, let's say, because it's the case study area in my country. And there we organize these meetings together with people from the University of Bucharest. They are really experienced in interacting with different stakeholder groups. So we met, we had specific questions that we were followed in order to receive what we were interested in. Let's say, what do you think it is needed in your community and in your city, in your metropolitan region, to feel more protected from water scarcity, because that was the priority risk that we have addressed. in this case study, or other things. Other meetings were with elderly people, but we also had meetings with some local authorities, because the municipality of Brașov is also a partner in this project. So I think this is an extended discussion, and maybe we can be in contact via email, or if you are interested in specific details.
So I guess, Tigran, we will have to close in a bit, like very last question here by Lucia Reyes Barroso about the possibility of receiving a certificate of attendance. And I think you could communicate with Tigran and us, and maybe that could be arranged, right?
Yes, exactly. So we are out of our time already, and I would like to thank you again, all our participants and all our speakers, for really very impressive project descriptions and projects. And I think that it gave us it reached understanding of how EU missions and also relevant clusters create local and regional impact, and also help to address and also not only local, societal and also global problems that we are facing globally. And also, I think that all our projects were inspiring for those who are going to initiate new projects, and also designing new proposals. And also, I think that it was a good platform also for networking. And also, please participate also in our brokerage event, which is planned for January, for networking with finding partners for new project ideas. So thank you to all very much. Wishing you all a nice day, and also successful participation in future upcoming mission and other cluster calls.